Challenged. Be dirty.
Different.
Unique.
Cultural.
Sad.
Precious.
Dangerous.
It's very diverse.
Abstract.
Complex.
Chaotic.
In need.
Addicts.
Mysterious.
Dramatic.
Crazy.
Real.
Complicated. Hope.
I think the Tenderloin does affect the children because they walk through drug activity, people sleeping on the streets, criminal activity. It kind of affects them when they see things happen outside and they question our parents about it.
What makes the Tenderloin feel unsafe is, I think, the drugs that are being distributed around this neighborhood.
The general threat to the existing community here in the Tenderloin, but also to outsiders who might want to come in to enjoy parts of the Tenderloin, typically has to do with drugs and drug-related violence. And the problem with drugs is, of course, the dirt and the humanity issues. Most people don't want to look at that. But there can also be random acts of violence based in response to taking drugs, but also just the act of drug dealing leads to a certain level of criminal activity as well. And I think that's really unfortunate for the neighborhood, both for the people who live here, but then also for others to come in.
So I feel it's never going to get fixed unless they go back to the real problem behind it, like who's giving the drugs out and where did the drugs come from.
But what makes it scary is just that there's a lot going on underneath the surface. I can always walk by a corner or this one specific corner, and I always know that there's going to be 3 really young, probably high school aged kids that are dealing.
The police doesn't do enough work in the neighborhood as far as the response to the people who live in the Tenderloin. It is like an open community, therefore a lot of people feels that it's the need to come down to the Tenderloin because there's a lot of illnesses, sick people that needs help, and we're dealing with the homeless, drug addicts in here, and kids shouldn't be subject to that at all.
As there is a high crime rate there, and I feel like poverty rates there are higher than in other parts of San Francisco.
People think that it's dangerous because there are lots of homeless people around sitting there and they don't look too civilized, I guess.
I actually don't think Tenderloin is any more unsafe than other neighborhoods, or I should say it's not any more unsafe than any other major cities in the United States. But I think the perception of lack of safety in the Tenderloin has a lot to do with the fact that people feel disconnected.
People are scared of what makes them uncomfortable. And when you have poop on the floor, you have syringes, disposable, or syringes that have been used and just thrown off to the side, that makes people scared. When you have people hollering at you when you're just walking by trying to get to your destination.
And it has a lot to do with disrespect from the city officials and the police department to anywhere the public officials and the city needs to kind of step in and take leadership. But there's disrespect of the people who are here because they're people of color, because they're poor, because they're immigrants.
I don't think it's that scary. Once you really get to know the people that live here and you get to understand why the Tenderloin is what it is, it's not that scary.
I would say, based on my own personal experiences over the last couple of years volunteering at various agencies and locations in the Tenderloin, my interaction has allowed me to see a living population here that's different from what most people get just by passing through, whether it's going out for drinks or dinner or just transiting through. So I've been able to see more families and more of a community, but I don't think that that's very obvious to many people who are just transiting through.
The Tenderloin, I'd only feel safe if I'm walking with other people because of the high crime percentage rate, and I kind of see people like lurking around there sometimes, and I kind of just get creeped out. People like try to talk to me, and I'm like, oh.
Personally, I wouldn't mind walking alone over there, but if my mom or my dad were to know that I was walking there alone, we'd probably freak out, not be too comfortable with that.
I feel safe walking the Tenderloin sometimes because at one point there could be someone that would like approach me or ask me to like do something, or I could get hurt.
It's a challenge, but like it gives you motivation to like step up above like the drugs and all these like bums around you, and then like it makes you want to be able to like succeed in life and become a better person, and to also like develop as like a young adult.
I remember some days I would have to walk over to glide after school program by myself just because my parents were at work. I come from an immigrant family, so that was also something I wasn't fond of living here. Just walking through those 2-3 blocks in the neighborhood, it was something that I didn't want to go through just because, you know, most 5-year-olds wouldn't want to see people doing drugs, people making out, prostitutes standing on the corner asking for a few bucks, you know, just those kind of stuff.
So I have lived in San Francisco for 12 years, and to be honest, in those 12 years I haven't seen very much superficial change in the Tenderloin in terms of drug addicts walking the streets or overall dirt levels compared to other neighborhoods. What I have noticed though is that there's certain zones that are close to other regions that are starting to get gentrified, and started with the appearance of certain bars or clubs or restaurants, and it's slowly moving in more and more. So it seems to be that there's a bit of a change going on economically perhaps.
So living here has been like very different, even though like it is like a poverty place, but like I've learned how to live here and how to deal with all the things I don't have and what things I need and what I don't need.
Most people can walk down to their local Safeway and get food. Down here, many people, they would have to dig through dumpsters, and if they find something like of value and someone else noticed them, you know, there would be some beef. But then that's something you wouldn't want to see. But you know, you just had to endure it.
So I think when kids grow up in a neighborhood dominated by liquor stores on every corner, that's definitely gonna shape them because they're gonna be used to, I mean, with liquor stores you have drunks or you have people who are drinking, and so that shapes them because it makes them a lot more prepared for how to deal with people like that.
Impact the kids because it limits the options that they have of things they can choose to buy.
I can't think of a supermarket with fresh produce in the neighborhood. So that probably has a big impact on their health.
I think if they get rid of the liquor stores, I think the traffic would decrease in the Tenderloin area and allow the kids can go to, I should say, build a supermarket in the Tenderloin. Therefore, the kids can have a safe store to go to.
You don't know what to do with your time, or you can't do things with your time. It's easier to give in to vices like drugs and alcohol to kind of forget all the hard things in life.